Okay, Lilia, normally we start at the first buff, but there's the invade here you're gonna want to see. Mostly because this is happening in a wide variety of MMRs right now, and honestly, nobody knows why, but they are discussing potentially removing this. Don't waste your flash there if you're the Lilia, just absolutely chill. We'll skip forward to the buff now. You see the runes starting on the red. Don't waste your flash on the level 1s, because if you're guaranteed death, especially against a Braum, it's not worth it. Save it. You'll be a little slow in the first clear here, but you'll be fine. We'll try to correct that and 1v9 the game. They are discussing potentially removing these, and I really hope they do, because it's really annoying and sad when the whole enemy team has a problem, they're ready to go, and your team are, snorting the last line before they come at, 130. So it's better to kind of just normalize and get into the game, but we'll see how that goes. For now, what is Lilia able to do to carry games? We obviously have an Amumu. It's weird. We're seeing Amumu bans at Worlds. He's been top tier of the meta. He's been one of the better junglers. Yeah, what a time to be alive. Shen versus Aurora. We have the Kiana freshly buffed against the Orianna. And obviously here we have the Ashe Lulu against the Kog'Maw Braum. Now, when you find yourself a little bit behind tempo, due to an invade and such things, we're crossing here at 234, maximizing those passive stacks a little bit. We lost them, so, you will lose them now. But keep yourself moving between your camps as fast as possible, and then keep your eyes up for what you can cut to. Even if you are a full clearing jungler like Lilia, because you're a little bit behind, because you should, in theory, be a little bit behind the enemy jungler, you don't want to be making bad decisions that can compound that. So if you can cut up and get a gank off, cut away their advantage in time because you died, do so. Otherwise, usually, you should be fine full clearing, being a little slower, and then carrying about your day. Here, the Lilia is absolutely fine. Full sequence down. We'll have a smiter for the Scuttle Crab. We see the bot lane here. Shen kills the Aurora, so it's a little bit doomed. You see the trade here, flash burn. F key to make sure you see that. Who will forbid? Definitely not you. The Braum dashes in for the passive proc onto the Ashe. If she does have Ghost and Flash, you should be watching this the whole time as a jungler. And when your team wins it, you go, yes! And you're very excited about that. We shouted down here, we don't complete the Scuttle Crab. Amumu here is the problem. I'm not sure why he was so delayed. But much like the Lilia, hypothetically, this Amumu is behind tempo, right? Like, maybe he's behind, he got invaded. I think he's just behind because of skill issue, but, say he got invaded. You gotta head to Virkayu.gg. Not only do I have a free jungle improvement resource, I also have a dedicated program with jungle video courses, jungle coaching classes, a jungle VOD library, special weekly content you'll see nowhere else. All of this available through a premium jungle Discord, which is highly active, a huge community that help each other climb using my jungle program and courses. As we have seen by everybody hitting their peak rank goals in Split 1 and Split 2 of Season 14 as fast as possible. So to climb faster than everybody you know, and to jungle diff every game you play, head to Virkayu.gg or click the link in the description below. Look at this, right? Look at the wave state, look at this going on. As soon as you see this with the Lulu mispositioning, you should be rotating. Leave your Krugs, get your ass over here. Why? Because you know the enemy jungler, in this case the Lilia, is full clearing. So she will be late to it. But the Lilia does a great job of, kind of skipping the scuttle and getting her ass in the bottom lane. And now the Amumu's trapped here a little bit. Takes a bunch of free damage. Unnecessary free damage, but it's fine. We'll go ahead and do the Scuttle Crab now. We know he's going to reset. We'll cut through to the mid lane here. Orianna disrespects possibility. Rom does the tempo roam out of base because, Kog'Maw's already here. Lulu's going back to base. And so there's no real need for him to overtly force it. Reminder, if you happen to be not necessarily this Amumu, but if you happen to be the Lilia and you start Raptors and this happens, the Amumu, if he were a good jungler, right, has based on Krugs, ignore bot lane, and he's already trying to counter jungle this. So do be aware that there's a potential for you losing these Raptors. You should lose these anyway here. Like this for me is where the Lilia should be thusly punished. Yes, she was compromised on the invade, but the Amumu, well, that's pretty. Whatever, you were saying that, right? The Ashe Hawk shot, what a spell. Yeah, I don't really feel like she should get away with having a whole quadrant here. I can guarantee you, if I'm Zarya pathing down, and I see this, and I see you show, and there's nothing I can do, I'm back to base, cutting up, I'm snacking this. If you start a Raptors, I'm taking this. But even at 455, like say I know you did red Krugs Raptors, I know that at 455, those Raptors are definitely up, and I can presuppose you're going to do this. So what I like to do is kind of defend those Raptors potentially against counter jungling, and even if it compromises me a little bit of down sequencing, I want to deny the counter jungling. You know, I'll save those 5 seconds somewhere else, but I'm okay spending them here just to prevent losing a camp or two. Now the immune was obviously bad. We saw that, so we're not too concerned about it. Gal do his quadrant, and I think the nice strategy that you can think about here is a Lilia, and most junglers now, as we watch Kiana go in here. Remember, bonus AD ratios don't help if you're dead. Yeah, you know, they're overvaluing the grubs, which means you can kind of look for these dragons a little bit more and then try and snowball the bot lane and then stack the soul, get an early elder. If you are definitely good at the better jungler and you're playing well and you're carrying every game, then please do. This ward here, well placed. Remember, place this ward. You can see that there so that there's no way to sneak by. And the Lilia obviously is seen. You can just assume you have been seen in these situations and just keep your eyes on the lanes. Orianna does a lazy base here. This should be punished. Chucks the swirl seed. Oof. There we go. I don't think I necessarily would have looked for that. That's my bad usually. But it's like, God, there's no ways they're doing a lazy base, right? Right? And then they do. So extrapolate your laner. See if you can actually punish that and whatnot. Nice little try there, but don't commit too many resources. Look at the bottom lane trade here. We can assume it's warded, but you never know. Control ward confirms that it isn't, and that's exactly what you want to see here. Rom Q does hit. Swirl Seed will connect. Wall will do nothing. All wants his door back. You are unworthy, sir. And then we're going to see a dead Kog'Maw as well. Die, Slime Ball. And now because you're down here, this is great jungling so far. The Mumu in theory, after doing the grubbies, you know, could invade you. Instead goes to the mid lane gank, so we keep our eyes on this one. We see him. Let's see if he's paying attention. He's not. Okay. And now we're too low to do any sort of dragon. So in this particular case, I don't want to force this whatsoever. Mumu face checks this. Nice little patience there to expect it. We burn his flash. We'll take it. We body. Crab here in theory should be 6 for us. Boom. There it is. Root again. So really this is a great example of how to play around chaotic jungling or chaotic maps, because you have, you know, mid lane going back and forth. You have top lane going very heavily in the Shen's favor. You know, the enemy jungler is not too good, even though it's meant to be a Master Plus game and it's just not performing at all. And bottom lane is dynamic, I guess is the word. Would you say dynamic? Dynamic. You know, ADCs may be dying or living. It doesn't really matter. You just got to play what the jungler is giving you and what the laners are giving you. So even if you need to stay out here a little bit longer than you would want to, an extended sequence for this dragon, that's fine. The Mumu does a Krug, slides into the lane. You do this, baby, takes you a while. Braum now is roaming here unnecessarily, not paying attention at all there. And now the Lilia is like, well, I got 6. You know, yes, CSPM is important for me, but do I shadow this scenario a little bit just in case the Mumu sticks around? And I think that's fine. You could always hit the plant here. I would never, ever retract from this scenario and just be in the bush. Hit the plant, see what's up, expose them, and now honestly, you can kind of go back to your camps here, reset and then play for the top side, respawn grubbies a little bit, maybe offset top or just sequence down, or you can just base and sequence down. A lot of options available to you. But if you are feeling okay to kind of do this in the back, you can do, but then for me that would be an overextension. You got a lot of gold. You know, 1600, we can go buy something. You know, I don't really want to fight your counter gank this, so I understand maybe some of you might want to stick around here, but yeah, no real benefit to do so. And of course, the Mumu's not going to counter jungle you here. It's unlikely. Ooh, arrow to the mid lane. Prey. Dodgy McDodgy. That's cool. So, solid. Mumu falls back to this position here. He has a Balmy Cinder. Wave crashing top lane. We can do this quadrant very nicely. Looking at mid lane here. We do want to use our ultimate. Have a nice effective ultimate on the first usage, but again, some games will require you to slow down a little bit on that. Yes, it's important to play around your ult, but sometimes it's good to wait till you have the perfect moment, much like this Mumu does. Now, we do know all the stuff is available on the top side. If you're strong enough to go in and, you know, Omega Fist, do so. He's going back to base low. We know the grubbies are spawning within the minute. The Orianna is pretty fed at this particular stage. You can just decide to hold this. We have the Lulu roaming as well, though. There's Pixie, Polymorphed. Here goes the plant. She's a little bit trapped, actually. We could easily rotate to this. We will be giving up the grub pressure potentially Braum shows up to help. Swirl Seed occurs. Double sleep. Here we go. Bonky Bonky. Yes. Swoopty Swoopty instead of Bonky Bonky. Bonky Bonky would be the W. Very nice. And now Ashe can flash through. There we go. There's a Shen ult. And everyone's following through here. We cannot kill him before, but it should be a kill to the LILLIA. Nicely done. Now, Amumu, of course, as I said, will go to the grubs. That's expected. You can't anticipate his team doing these kinds of plays. I don't think anybody can. But solid, again. Do I cut it for the counter jungling, right? On the top side, knowing Amumu's basing and I want to set up for grubs. Or do I try and do something mid lane here, see my team collapse and say, you know what? An extended fight, we'll lose an objective, not the best. Nothing for me to lose. Nothing for me to lose. And I can control my quadrant and, you know, basically I have full control now. And we want to set up for the next dragon, really. So, Mumu shows up topside randomly. Braum is roaming again, definitely winning the roaming game here. Aurora is just straight inting. So you're not going to go to that lane. You're just going to say, well, you're playing the OP champion, handle your business, which they never do. I never have a good Hui, for example. Champion always ints on my team. Every time. When I see a good one, I'm going to be amazed. Amazed. Now, Dragon is not up for a little bit still, so we can just reset here. Look at the Braum roams. You know, Lulu and Ashe in the 2v1 lane against a Kog'Maw. You know, no one really minds, but that was juicy. Unlucky. So, you know, you just hope your bot lane does a good job here if you're the Amumu, but at the same time, what are you necessarily snowballing? A little bit the mid, I guess. Definitely a little bit the top. But bot lane is really far ahead, and I'm not one of those people like, you gotta pass bot lane, that's the win condition. No, the win condition is something that evolves and changes and adapts throughout the game state. And you just want to make sure that you are denying the enemy jungle as much as possible. You are as strong as you can be as possible. And here we were going to clear the ward, but we see the enemy jungle, so we cut all the way down. The dragon's respawning. Don't go back to the raptors. Ult is up as well. If you don't think you can kill him, don't waste it. Okay. This is why it's so important to sequence well. Do you see this? 23 CS up, right? Objective is here. We've skipped one camp to listen to the map, and we are not constrained to fall back to anything because we're like, whoa, I can shadow, I can exist, I can force, I can zone, I can poke. I don't have to go back to farming because my farming's under control. We have bot lane prior here as well. Kiana's got a good position there. Shen's ult is available, and I think blue team kind of know that to run this, but the Amumu is really forcing at this particular stage. I don't know why. Your team aren't in this position to help. LILLIA's got a good smite combo, so there it is. Also, yeah, okay, no. Later in the game. What I wanted to mention is pets. Much as we hate them, press tab, see how many stacks are up. Because I see junglers contesting that first dragon, and you know they have 22 stacks, the enemy jungler is 19. Your smite does 600, theirs does 900. You're not stealing that ever. There's just no point, right? Look to make a different play. And this is what I'm talking about from earlier. Do the dragon, fall back to your camps now that they're available. Keep your eyes on the bottom lane. Look for the rotation. There's the Orianna roaming down as well as the Shen. We have 5-man bot lane here. We're going to ult the Orianna. Maybe the Kiana can do something, although I don't necessarily think she can. You just don't want to overcommit here. Oh no, we've done it. This is where you kind of just walk away. I admire the desire to kind of help your bot lane there, but when you see the Shen ult, the Mumu, and the Orianna, you just go do this, you go do this, maybe you cut it for this, you go in here, you hit this, you push this out, you just lopsided, right? So they're all here. Think of it like a bucket of water. Or freshly squeezed milk. It can be from a cow or a goat, or an almond, if you're so inclined. Now, the whole idea is, if they send all 5 people on one side, it's going to tip, right? So it creates a lopsided effect on the map. Now, you can either direct that lopsided concept, or you can react to it. In the LILLIA's case here, she can react to it and level off the bucket, right? Especially if you have control of the bucket because you're winning the game, you just want to level it up. Now, here we are behind in gold. We don't want to give them a free advantage bot side. So what we can do is just loop back here. We can look for these plays. Get at the worst, control our camps, ward, and hold a wave or two, push mid lane out, I think. But at best, we can get a whole bunch of stuff plus Herald. And then you offset the advantage again on the bottom side. And that's just kind of how we offset the lopsided effect there. If you are behind, a great way to do things is to do this lopsided effect and then shove up. And if they don't react, you get a huge advantage, right? So decide. Now, here, obviously, we are behind a goal, but I don't feel like the Lilia is not in control of this game. I feel like the Lilia is in control of this game, and I don't really feel like I'm behind enough to the point where I don't think I can carry. I think if you were the Lilia, you'd feel the same way. Polymorphed, swoop-de-doop, Mrs. W, use it as a gap close. Another Q, looking, waiting for the plant here. Goes back in. Oh, near me. Lulu ultimate. You flash up the wall. Rom ultimate. Sustain damage. Sustain healing. Sustain shielding. Sustain slow. Sustain max HP damage. We do fall. We do overcommit quite vociferously, but fun. That's our fun moment. We try to push the limits of what's possible for our champion and in this situation. Yeah, so Lilia, you know, they've nerfed that secondary healing. Doesn't matter. Her passive, these things have been nerfed and changed over the years many times, but the champ's still fine. Champ's still strong. Champ's still 1v9. Yes, the clear speed nerfs was something we thought would curb her quite a lot, and it did. And then they made everyone have more HP, so there we go. I feel like the champ performs super well. Obviously, you're not going to go, you know, death cap. I don't really feel like that's the best way to play right now. But Riftmaker, the Leandries, Zhonya's, I'm not a huge fan of those tank itemization variants, but you can become unkillable with the Spirit Visage if necessary in those kind of games where you need to be more frontline, like this one, right? You can definitely go more tanky in this one. But Zhonya is a great default second item, something we really love. Hello, especially if you want that survivability. Now, we do want to get ult second rank for the next fight, ideally, because of the cooldown, just to address this nonsense. But her damage is so tiny, and her cooldown on the sleep, or the sleep duration, doesn't scale. Don't rank up your ultimate. I don't know which doofus thought this was a good idea. It's absolutely moronic. Your cooldown of this ultimate, right, that puts people to sleep for 1.5, drowsy for 1.5 seconds, asleep for 2 seconds, goes from 147 at current haste to 107, 108. You're telling me that 40-second reduction in cooldown is useless when you get to the mid and the late game? It's a logic way of thinking. You want the cooldown because the damage, while that's not the point, it's a CC, right? Which allows you and guarantees your team to hit all your other damage. And it's AoE, which is a pretty big deal. I think so. So Lilia, seen at Worlds, has a Riftmaker build, has a tank utility build, has this default Zhonya's build, has great scaling, has innate healing and sustain here, even though it was nerfed, it's still absolutely juicy, has true damage, has sweet spot damage, true damage in the outer rim, sweet spot in the middle. You know, really has everything you need, plus of course a percentage max HP damage. Really is one of these great, you know, if you're going to make a new, don't do this, but if you're going to make a new account, you want to OTP something and truly 1 for 9, it's one that you could use very well, right? Likewise, if you're just on your regular league journey, no, we've exploded. Well, good night, Bambi. While you're on your regular league journey, you're like, well, you know, I'm stuck a little bit. How do I regain control of jungle right now? Play Lilia. Seriously, she's still great for that. Ain't nothing changed. Next dragon is up. We do want the third one. I'm not a fan of the death there. The flank was good though. We did use our Seekers, which allowed us to prolong our life. Get a needless. We'll need 450 for the Zhonya's completion there. So this fight is a big one here. We really do need to win this one. From the backside, here comes the Lilia. We hit the Swirl Seed already. Ult is on a 59-second cooldown. So we're going to go for the sweet spot damage there onto the Scuttle Crab. We're going to kill that. The Moon is out of position here. We swoop max range. We get oh, that's a lot of damage for us. The Kiana just disengage ult. Lots going on here. So watch that at full speed, actually. So there we go. Aurora goes ulting. Nice slows from the whole team front to back. Lilia is sitting in the front line like I said she might have to. Beautiful Orianna ult to group them all together. Lacks the damage there, unfortunately. You know, Kog'Maw's not in that fight, which is the crucial aspect of that. Numbers advantage to the red team. Now, you do have to be cautious about getting flipped by the slug. So Lilia goes back into her jungle here to get that blue buff, which will give her healing as well. And now we kind of sit. Poke from the side with E. Swirl Seed to the back line. We're using movement speed passive stacks over there. Shen goes way too deep. We're going to turn and kill him. Swoop-de-doop on the Q. Now the dragon is killing Braum. So we have obviously the Aurora going for the backline there. Doesn't really get there too deep. Backline there on the left is the Kiana. Poke, poke, poke. This is really a long drawn out fight. And you know, the Orianna just has so much zoning potential and damage potential for her team. But likewise, so does, well, the Ashe and the LILLIA for the red team. So that was really drawn out. But I like that a lot, honestly. Great positioning. And again, something that a lot of LILLIA players are not good at. Positioning your body there to absorb a lot more damage than most of them want. And that's because you ain't got no front line here. Someone has to go in, be the full front of the poke, absorb most of the damage, and really space the enemy team out, which is what we did here perfectly. Tank gameplay, really, but instead you're an AP bruiser that can sustain up and put everyone to sleep, which we didn't even have in that fight. We will have, of course, the Zhonya's completed now. Yeah, just be aware of this kind of back and forth later on. You know, you've got the initial pick, you know, and then Kog'Maw shows up. Yeah, you can keep floating and poking and floating and poking and repositioning and body blocking and, you know, wait for them to misposition like the Shen did to kill them. That's great. Use your movement speed passive stacks here up to 4, used to be 5, just to create that positioning. You get the built-in phase rush. And Conqueror, of course, fantastic for this total healing. It's not big, but, you know, I always use that example from Kindred a couple years ago, where I had we had more of a debate on runes and Conqueror in general after a round of nerfs. And it was like, ha ha ha, look at the low healing of Conqueror. And then my Kindred went on an invade and had 20 healing, lived with 10 HP, and from that snowballed the entire game. You know, like, you've got to look at the context of when that healing was, and did it allow you to live so that you could do more? Yes, cool, it did its job. It's not meant to be Soraka on your runes, you know, and that's an important distinction. So, yeah, well, the Braum Flash. We do have ult available here. We are stunned. We're just going to Q Flash again onto the Kog'Maw and put him to sleep. Oh, tick, 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 tick. That's actually just a survival mechanism there. The rest of the team is dead. You'd be forgiven for not really noticing if you're busy fighting. Uh-oh. Well, this is a little greedy. That's a little greedy, just going to say. All right. We're now going to the Riftmaker. The Zhonya's has done good work for us. Blue team not push out. So our team will die here while you're taking the Braum out of the fight. While Kog'Maw's not in the fight. So you're just like, well, you know, I can't really do anything more than that. But let's respawn. I have Zhonya's. I have the Riftmaker being built. Let us begin going and looking to make something happen. Shen ult is on cooldown as well, so we know that he can't rotate over unless he commits his TP. We saw Orianna on the bottom side there. Her TP is available as well. Does give us the ambush advantage. And we have Ashe, right? There it is. Polymorphed, stunned. We need to chain CC that together. I would leave the blue, I think. If you think your team cannot get that kill, if you trust your team to get that kill, feel free to go ahead and, you know, finish the blue buff. Orianna's still here. They were not in a position to do anything about that. So in this situation, if your team decides to turn and you feel in control, please follow them. Please follow them. Do not greed this if you don't need to. Because it's an Amumu. See, the counter turns. There we go. You see, we don't need to coin flip it. Backline knock onto the Orianna. They're completely split off. Focus on the two people in front of you. Let Kiana take care of the Orianna. Want to swoop-de-doop with the Aurora and kill the Amumu. E backline, swirl siege slow. Ult available in now. There it is. Double sleep. Double sleep. Bonk. And we have the Lulu giving us shields most of the time. Perfectly played. Now we can fall back. Fall back, fall back, fall back. Baron, 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 Baron. Okay. Soul point up so we can just easily stay out here if we don't need to base. You know, if you've got that Riftmaker, I would base, honestly. I don't think you need to worry too much about cutting through, because as you can see, everybody went back to base and is getting here in time. So will you. You know, you're gonna have the Riftmaker, you're at 3 items. Nothing's stopping you, right? There's nothing stopping you. There's no real reason to stand by yourself there and risk it for the biscuit a little bit. You should be absolutely fine with your spending. So, yeah. Just would say that. Got the big scuttle. Reveals wards. Aurora's in the back line now. Again, you don't want to coin flip it, but we want to play the fight right. The Kiana goes mega deep by herself. There's a lot of damage to the Kog'Maw here. And I would honestly say you guys should be leaving this dragon entirely. This should be a straight turn. Once the Kiana goes backline and does that amount of damage, there's no reason whatsoever to coin flip the split of your team. Just follow through on that damage. Peel your Amumu, peel the Amumu from your team, whatever you need to do. But well played fight again. You got such a big lead. As long as you do a decent job, optimization is really just for future games, and that's all we really think about. But yeah, once Kiana does this much damage, you know, and people are kind of distorted, and Amumu's behind the pit, you can feel free to follow that. But yeah, make those executive decisions. If you feel you can just finish off the soul and fight afterwards, cool. You know, it's also good. It's just understand where you are in the game in terms of, do we fight? Do we coin flip the combo? You know, like if you have 0 smite combo as a champion, don't coin flip this at all. Just if you can win the fight with the numbers lead you have in terms of golden items, do it. Don't coin flip the smite. Probably doesn't matter, but why let it happen? I like this though, good counter jungling. Although now at this point we're 3,000 gold, so we're probably pushing it a little bit. There's a Rift Maker, and now we'll build into the Leandries. Good choice. Drip Bloom is something you can go against tankier compositions, but then I look at their itemization and I'm like, well, never mind. Oh, that's a good F key. But it doesn't matter. Shen ult, Amumu backline, flash Q. Can I kill without ulting, says Amumu. Backline swirl seed from the LILLIA. With her HP, there is the Q flash again. We're gonna R, put them to sleep, zone their whole bunking team. There's a Shen backline. We are forced to flash out as well. Well, sorry, not flash out, we reposition as it were. And our team cleans up. Again, using our tank ideology, right? I'm LILLIA, but I have so much healing, so much damage, and I'm very difficult to kill with my movement speed. I've got Zhonya's. I can disrupt and get in the face of 3 people without worrying about dying, because that's the key there. And then I can peel off and fall back to my team once I've dealt with their invasive species. So there are many ways to play LILLIA. This is one of the great ones that is why she's great in Pro, why she's great in Clash, why she's great in solo queue and Flex 5s, because she can do this as well as be almost like an assassin. And, I mean, dynamic, interesting, great game, a unique way of playing the positioning, much more like a different, just a fighter tank disruptor would, right? Which is, of course, what you want to do in LILLIA. But if you've got those, you know, big boys in front of you, you don't always have to do this. You can always try and look for the flank of the backside. You can go deep and try and get multi-people sleeps. Here we just put our body in front with the Lulu shields and use our damage, use our sustain and movement speed to reposition. It's great use of the kit. Nice game. And I'll see you guys in the next one.